The fate of the only officer charged in the raid that killed 26-year-old Breonna Taylor is now in the hands of a jury. This comes a day after Brett Hankison, this man, took the stand in his own defense. He's charged with 3 counts of wanton endangerment, punishable by 1 to 5 years, up to 5 years in prison, for firing shots that ripped into the home of Taylor's next-door neighbor. Joining us now is Frederick W. Moore III. He represents Breonna Taylor's boyfriend, Kenneth Walker. We thank you for being with us, attorney.
Thank you for having me.
How is he doing? I just want to start off by asking you that. How's he doing, reliving this trial all over again?
Well, it's obviously been tough. I know that he was there once earlier this week with Miss Palmer, who is Breonna Taylor's mother. He was also there today for closing arguments. I spoke to him yesterday, actually. I don't think that he's going to be there for the reading of the verdict, but, you know, he's close to that family, and they asked him to be there for support, and he did that.
Yeah. During Hankinson's testimony, he talked about having empathy for the victims. Did you feel that?
I did not. You know, having reviewed all of the evidence and seen his deposition, or not deposition, but his interview with the police officers, I didn't find his tears to be believable, to be honest, because his story wasn't credible. So I think it's convenient that he feels for them at a time when he's testifying and looking at 3 counts of wanton endangerment.
Yeah. The prosecution objected to Hankinson's comments about Taylor not needing to die that night. Why? Why did they do that? Do you know why?
I don't know why. I think they did it ultimately because his opinion on it doesn't make more or less likely any of the factors that are relevant or that you have to prove for a wanton endangerment in the first degree. But it speaks to a larger issue, which is that Daniel Cameron, who was the prosecutor, the Attorney General's office, who elected essentially to not tell the grand jury, as we all know now, the whole story and not let them know that they could bring other charges. It just fits into a bigger narrative that he's sort of pushed. And it almost seems as though they don't think that that's important, when that's obviously was the impetus of one of the biggest sort of civil rights movements that we've had in the last, 50 years or so. So you cannot, her death and this incident are, they're so intertwined that you can't separate the two. He was going to offer that testimony only to engender favor, and make himself look good, but I don't think it did that.
Do you think that's why Hankinson wasn't charged?
Why Mattingly wasn't charged, or?
Yes.
Yeah. So the reason that Attorney General Cameron gave is that Mattingly and Cosgrove were justified in their shooting because Kenneth Walker shot once, despite the fact that they also had bullets that went in apartments that weren't in apartments other than apartment 4. I think that Hankinson's case was the easiest case, and I think that is why General Cameron decided to opt to prosecute only Hankinson. I do believe that there's evidence there to prosecute both Mattingly and Cosgrove for what's called wanton murder here in Kentucky. But I think that General Cameron decided that case was harder.
I got one last question for you, and it's regarding your client. Filed a lawsuit against the officer connected to the raid that killed Breonna Taylor. Can you tell us the status of that lawsuit right now?
Sure. So we've survived motions to dismiss in both state and federal court. So we're going forward and prosecuting those claims. Basically, our position, and after talking to Kenny, if Attorney General Cameron isn't going to hold the officers responsible for what they did on that night, what they did to him, then we're going to do it. He also was a victim. He was assaulted by the state. He was charged falsely and prosecuted maliciously. And now, they still haven't apologized. If you watch the trial, they blamed him essentially for what happened. So we're using the civil justice system as it should be used to tell his story and the truth and to seek justice for him.
Yeah. Attorney Frederick Moore, we really appreciate your time, sir, and we look forward to welcoming you back to give us an update.